right. Okay, Madam Clerk, we can have a roll call?
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is absent at the moment. Mr. Shrine. Here. Mr. Brady. Here. There's a quorum.
Thank you. Any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one is signed in.
We have minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from September 19th, 2018?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. We have 3 items referred to committee. The first one is 2018-0203. Can we please read that for the record?
Resolution number 2018-0203, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1600242 with United Labor Agency for operation of the Workforce Service Center for job seekers and employer services and management of the on-the-job training program in connection with the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act for the period 7/1/2016 through 6/30/2019 for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,586,219.
Thank you. Oh, hi.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Kelly from Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga County. This is an item where we are adding federal WIOA dollars to an already existing contract. We had a contract approved in April before we received our full allocation from the federal government. We received about a 40% increase in funding this year, which is excellent. We're putting that into increased individual training on the job and customized training. So this amendment is to for services through United Labor Agency, which runs our one-stop and operates a lot of the different programs.
Questions? Mr. Shrine?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Within the last few weeks, the county has authorized the creation of 3 sectors that we're going to be looking at around workforce. One around IT with a blockchain component to it, one around medical, and one around manufacturing. How does this money and how is your agency going to link with that $2.5 million that's being spent by the county, $1 and $1.5 million by the private sector?
I believe that our executive director, in fact, I know that she is on the planning committee and is heavily involved with Workforce Connect, which is what I believe you're speaking of. And I think that over a 3-year period, we have committed maybe $100,000 a year to support the infrastructure of that effort. So that's kind of how we're linking up. We had just gotten finished with a 3-year federal grant about sector partnerships in those sectors, and ULA was one of our main vendors who worked on that with us. So I think that that's where it all comes together. We can use what we learned from it to inform the county's effort.
Well, none of the sector partners, as far as who's going to drive that, has been identified yet. There was just an information letter that went out last week, a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
RFQs.
Yeah, and I believe they're starting with the manufacturing sector first. So no, I don't believe there's been any selection of the intermediary to work with the business community and the manufacturers.
Right, but yes. It just seems to me that one of the things that we're striving to do is to do a consolidation of all the assets in here in the county, because they're so thinly spread out with everybody doing their little piece, all with a good purpose. But I just think that it's going to be incumbent upon us, in order to get this right, to make sure that there's a real coordination. And it might even mean some people have to give up their turf to allow it to to have more maximum impact within any one of those 3 sectors out there, because somebody says, oh, I'm doing a good job and I've got 2 full-time equivalents in workforce around IE, whatever it happens to be, and yet we're not delivering it to the maximum dollar value. So I'm just asking, what are you prepared, if it means, hey, we'd like to have you do X, Y, or Z in this project, whether it be on the medical, the IT, blockchain, manufacturing, to look at reorganizing your structure as it goes forward?
Well, I can say that our executive director and also the chair of our workforce board, Ms. Mickey Tubbs from Fit Technologies, they are wanting to work in a very collaborative and coordinated fashion. I don't know all of the details of that, but I could have Dave Meganhart from ULA maybe speak to what he knows about that sort of detail.
Okay.
I mean, I think we stand ready to partner. I think it's a fantastic initiative that the county has embarked on, and I think any information that we can share from what we've learned over the years through the sector partnership, those three areas are, of course, in-demand training that all of our funds really go into those three sectors because most of the money goes into those three sectors, I should say. It really is a matter of coordination and sharing of information and partnering. So
Okay.
we
Well, if it
stand
means,
ready.
yeah, if it means nothing more than just saying that we're going to have to leave X, Y, or Z out of one of the areas we're focusing on, because we as a county have decided we're going to focus on these three primary sectors. It just seems to me that we ought to get everybody in town who's doing workforce to say, all right, whether these are the right three or the wrong three, these are the three we've chosen to go forward with, and get everybody to support those three functions out there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We agree, and I will pass your comments along to our executive director and our CFO. I think we'll be on the same page.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just a question about United Labor Agency's contract. I thought that that's coming to an end for operations of the center at the end of 19?
Right.
Okay.
So I believe there's an RFP that will come out in the spring in which we'll have to rebid. So
Okay.
this is the last year of a 3-year contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so this is federal dollars flowing through for operations, but there's no need to suspend the rules for second reading, correct? I mean, the dollars are already coming in, and this would be read twice at our council, is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
It's your
okay, there's
discretion,
no
but
emergency
yeah.
here, in other words.
No.
I mean, you're already here and doing your job, and the
Right.
money will come.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, so I'm going to make a motion that this be moved to the next full council meeting with a recommendation eventually of passage.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that will be read for the second reading, and then we'll hopefully get it on the full agenda at that next meeting. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2018-0204, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1600288 with Ohio Guidestone for in-school and out-of-school youth programs for the period 7/1/2016 through 6/30/2019 for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,157,343.
Okay.
Okay, Mary Kelly again from Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga. This is ours as well. This is the same sort of situation as the previous item in that we are adding additional federal WIOA dollars to an existing contract. This one is for in-school and out-of-school youth.
Thank you. And we discussed this, I think, previously and more in depth. This is just getting the dollars and getting them
Correct.
to
But
flow.
I do have Ohio Guidestone here if you've got any questions.
Do you want to say anything? And are there any questions of the committee?
Any questions?
How is it going with this program? How's that?
Very well.
Go ahead.
It's going very well. We, dealing with youth, we're looking more at exploring different career pathways. And to your earlier question about those three initiatives in those three industries, we're taking a look at doing the training so that they are prepared to go into a higher level of training in those three sectors.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, could you state your name for the record?
Adam Martman, Ohio Guidestone. We're looking at doing the training so that they're prepared to go into more technical training in those kinds of sectors. So looking at soft skill development, more exploratory kinds of training, things that are going to help benefit them, the youth along the way when they do enter something like manufacturing or IT, which takes more technical training than some of the previously explored career pathways with retail or food service and things of that nature.
What are the ages of the youth that you service?
So our in-school population is 14 to 18, 14 to 21, and then our adult population is 16 to 24.
So has there been a change in the age group in which the dollars can be used for youth work service training?
I don't believe so. I think it's 75% for out of school and 25% for in school.
Okay.
That's true. A couple years ago, the federal government changed with WIOA to focus on more out-of-school disconnected youth, so that explains that.
That was my question, because I remember there was a change and I just didn't remember. So just emphasis on
Well,
older.
yes, we have to spend 75% of the dollars on out-of-school youth and 25% on in-school youth, which is really a kind of a dramatic change, because before it was 75% in-school youth and 25% out-of-school youth, and the decision was made to try and reconnect the more disconnected youth out there to prevent them from slipping into further poverty.
Okay, Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You may have already mentioned this. What areas of the county are the services concentrated in, or is it available to anyone?
I believe it's available to anyone.
Anyone residing in Cuyahoga County.
Is there income requirement?
Jessica Barron, Ohio Guidestone. Hi, good afternoon. For this contract, it is anybody who's eligible for the WIOA program. So there are eligibility requirements associated with anybody being able to come into the program. One of them is the individual has to live and reside in Cuyahoga County. If they're out of school youth, they can be anywhere from 16 to 24 years old. And then some of the barriers are if an individual has dropped out of high school, so they're seeking their high school equivalency or GED. If they're coming into our program involved with the juvenile or adult justice system, if a student has been emancipated out of foster care, if they're homeless, or if they're pregnant or parenting, any one of those barriers could kind of get them into our program. And low income is not associated with any of those barriers, but if individual is coming in and does not meet any one of those barriers, and they're coming in with a high school diploma, they have to take an academic assessment, and then that would be coupled with low income.
Okay, and then, so how do you reach the individuals? It sounds like there's a number of avenues to get in. So are they your partners, or do you market this in any other format outside of the agencies?
We do our own grassroots marketing. We do collaborative meetings with the county. With some of our partners, we do referrals. And a lot of it really is word of mouth with our students.
Okay, and do you, and again, I apologize if you mentioned this, do you have a number of, or a goal, how many you've actually reached versus your goals?
Yes, for our in-school contract this year, we are serving 21 youth, and all of those youth would have been carryover. So we started with them when they were in 9th grade, and they just graduated back in June. So we're doing our 1-year follow-up with those. And then for our out-of-school contract, we are slated to serve 135 new youth, and then we are slated to serve about 120 carryover.
Okay, and if you could provide this body with a breakdown of the cities in which the youth you are serving are impacted.
We serve a lot of youth all around Cuyahoga. The majority, I would say, are probably going to be Cleveland, East Cleveland. We have some from Euclid, Garfield Heights, I think West Cleveland,
Some from Maple Heights.
Maple Heights. That's probably where the majority of our students are coming from.
Okay, if you could get a list for us, that would be great.
Yes, I can get you a list.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You indicate that the student, if they didn't have the GED, would be eligible if they're post-school time. I've got some association with special needs children who don't necessarily get a diploma. They don't get their GED. They get a termination certificate that they finished, but the home district can stop paying, but they're still eligible technically to get trained in schooling all the way up to age 21, but most home districts stop at 18. Is this a program where the special needs kids, perhaps coming out of CVAC, would be eligible for something of this nature, for continuing training and education?
Yeah, they go to them. Yeah. Go ahead. Oh.
I think the answer is yes then, right? They could come out of CVAC and then enroll in this program and continue on past the age of 18.
Okay, I wonder, do you have any linkage with those? Because I think that most of the instructors think that when the home district stops paying it, it's usually at age 18, and yet they could still use training and education to continue. There's actually not a funding source, because the home district, sometimes it's Shaw, sometimes it's East Cleveland schools, sometimes it's all the schools over in those areas. They stop because that's where the state does not require them to go any further, but yet they could still be eligible. So it would be phenomenal if somebody could say, hey, here's a program, it's in the county, if you're a county kid, because they're probably never going to get the GED, I don't think. But their need for training and education will continue.
Sure. Well, we do have a contract with CVEC
do?
through OMJCC. We do fund that program as well. So we can certainly check into it to make sure that they're informed about the other options that may be there for those students. And we can get back to you about how that would work.
Okay, it's the post-high school child that I'd be thinking about, it falls into a gap.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Kelly, Anna, and Jessica, for coming. I wanted you to say something since you came down here, and we appreciate your insights. So again, we're not going to suspend rules. We'll just have this on our regular course of action. So I'm going to make a motion that this be moved out of committee to the next council meeting for second reading with a recommendation for passage.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Okay, so this will be on two council meetings away. Thank you.
Great, thank you
Thanks for
very
coming
much.
down. Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2018-0207, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1700168 with Child Care Resource Center of Cuyahoga County, doing business as Starting Point, for the period 8/1/2017 through 7/31/2018, to extend the time period to 12/31/2018, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $819,706.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Rebecca Dorman from the Office of Early Childhood, Invest in Children, and you know Bob Stabe from the same office. We passed out for you sort of our talking points or the summary, and I can just quickly walk through it, but this way you have the same information in front of you. So as a reminder and for background, Starting Point has, from the inception of the UPK program, been our lead agency because they are the designated regional child care resource and referral agency for our 4-county region in the state. They have performed well in that role and have, as I said, continued in it since 2007. This amendment accomplishes a couple things. It is both changing our contract cycle with them onto a calendar year cycle, which seems to be easier for everybody in terms of how we contract and appropriate dollars in the county, so we get on the county budget year instead of the school year. It's also consolidating two contracts. So one contract had existed, which actually has ended, which was for our original 1.0 sites, those original group of sites. When we brought on the UPK 2.0 sites, we actually created a new contract with Starting Point because that model was a little different instead of amending it. So we now have created one UPK program. It all has all the enhancements we put in with the expansion, and we're moving Starting Point to one larger contract because now they're dealing with all of the sites, which is double from the original. So the way to accomplish that is just amend the existing contract that was there for the 2.0 sites. And again, everything will be in one, and we extend it to the end of this calendar year, and then next year we'll start fresh and we'll be on this calendar year basis. I hope that was clear. So we think this, in the end, will be easier and clearer for everybody around in OBM, et cetera, for us. So the role that Starting Point plays, as you know, we contract directly with the UPK sites themselves, and we monitor them for quality. So we're sort of the bad cops in this scenario, although we do give them the money. Starting Point gets to come in and provide the support and assisting the programs in meeting all of those high standards that then we monitor. So that includes going into classrooms, doing an assessment, seeing where there needs to be, where quality is good and where they could still use some enhancement and work in a very targeted fashion. They manage the family engagement model, which is action teams at every site where parents with the staff decide how are we going to manage family engagement, how are we going to get families engaged with this program. Every single staff person has a professional development plan in each of these sites. And Starting Point has a TA, a technical assistance person who helps develop those professional development plans, whether it's helping someone get an AA or someone with an AA get a BA, et cetera. So they manage all that. They help all of the programs in the resource referral. So they put together a big book. What are the resources in the community? They do training for staff to make sure they know that if it's even though this is a preschool program, we know families have many needs that providers may become aware of. So you need to make referrals, and there needs a parent resource center in every site, et cetera. So they help with that. Our intensive special needs program. So if a child has a very severe behavioral challenge, Starting Point manages that more intensive model with consultants who go into the programs to help. We have an MIS system, so every child in UPK is put into the COPA system. That's how we track their enrollment, a lot of other information, how they generate the invoices that come to us monthly. So that's all at Starting Point. They manage that. They generate reports for us. And we have safety net scholarships. So in addition to the regular scholarships that we give based on income, we have this special pot of money that is in this contract that goes to Starting Point and is managed. So if there's a particular hardship for a family, for example, a family member who has developed a serious disease, and it's unfortunately often been cancer. They can't work. They can't afford. They don't qualify for a child care subsidy because you have to have a worker training activity to get the subsidy. But they can't work because of the illness. So we can step in and help with a safety net scholarship. So that's managed through Starting Point. So the last thing I can say is, as you know, we've had very good outcomes. Up until recently, we really focused on demonstrating the impact on the children. And of course, that's top of mind for all of us. That's why we're here. We're trying to change lives. But what we had never done until recently was look at how are we getting there, and that's called a process evaluation. That's looking at every component of our program, all these things I just described. How are they working individually? How are they working together? Are they all working well? Do the sites like the TA? Could the TA be done differently or better in some cases? Is it all great? How is the implementation going? So CASE is now working on that process evaluation, and the way that is being conducted, the initial phase is interviews with all of the program directors and the staff of Starting Point who go in, the TA staff who are in the sites, getting their views of the program, and of course the teachers. We want to hear their views as well. So that's the first phase of the evaluation, and that will be done by the end of this year. The next phase will be reaching out to parents as well, and then the full report will be coming at the end of next year. I just put in one little tidbit. So we know for so far that the program directors who were interviewed by the CASE evaluators did praise Starting Point for its responsiveness, knowledge, and dedication. So far, we're getting good feedback. Of course, we're also looking for ways to improve. No one's perfect, so we're hoping we're going to get information that will help us in that regard as well. So I will pause. Did I miss anything, Bob? Okay, so now we're ready for questions or clarifications.
Any questions or clarifications from committee? The only question I have, Director Dorman, is about the funding source. It's the UPK grant funds. Can you be?
These are all private. No, these are. This particular 817 is a mixture. Yes, okay, so it is a mixture of both public, levy dollars along with the private dollars that were raised as part of the big push by the executive and Paul Clark to create the fund. So is it $500,000 from the? Yes, about $500,000 of the 800,000 are the private dollars from the Cleveland Foundation fund that was established, and the remaining 300,017 is from public dollars.
Those public dollars is Health and Human Service levy. So our actual legislation says it's 100% by grant funds. I don't know if that's technically correct. So do I need to be more specific about that? Because the private dollars are grant dollars through that nonprofit. The 300,000 is from Health and Human Service dollars that are within our budget for you? Okay, so I think I need to make an amendment to this resolution to specify that allocation. Is that okay?
I would agree, but you want to wait,
Yeah.
catch it at the full meeting, you can vote it out,
Okay.
catch the amendment, make sure you have.
Okay, so we'll, if you can get with our clerk, just to be specific,
Yeah.
thank you. In the meantime,
All right.
we'll get that.
The remaining 300,000, some of that may be private as well.
I thought it was all private. Okay, we'll double check, because I thought it was all private. We're going to have to go double check. Oh, most of it was private, but we'll double check.
So I'm going to make a recommendation that we move this out of the committee, and it looks like it's beyond the contract
Yes.
date, the time extended beyond the end of it.
Yes.
So it looks like we need some suspension of rules, but I would need that information prior to the next council meeting, so we
Okay,
can
sure, we appreciate
make the
it.
substitute amendment.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
so I will make this motion that we move this out of committee to the next full council meeting under second reading suspension with a recommendation of passage with an anticipation of an amendment to get specific on the
I'll
dollars.
second it on both the second reading and the anticipation that we'll have the language tied up tight.
Absolutely.
Okay, all in favor?
Thank you.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so this carries, and we'll
Okay.
be in touch before then.
Also, we're really excited. So this book entitled Early Childhood Education in the United States, Contemporary and Critical Perspectives was just published last week. You have two of the authors of one of the chapters here, myself and Billy Osborne Fears, along with two of our evaluators from CASE. So there is a chapter in here about Cuyahoga County's Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program.
Wow, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. Yep.
We're really excited about that. So we hope we're contributing, we think we're contributing to the state of the art, and this is a great way to be able to track what we're doing. So, yes, I wanted to share. I wish I had the book. I pre-ordered it, and I would have didn't get it yet, so I'm happy to.
The city, New York has a very aggressive program.
Yes.
Did they write in this book as well, or are we leaders in the?
In this, I don't think New York has a chapter. They're all different. I'm not recalling what all the other chapters at this moment, so I haven't looked for a while. So, and I don't have the book yet. But, and I'll let Billy correct me if she wants to, but I think our approach is unique. It's very multifaceted. I mean, this was before my time in my current role, but there was over 100 people sat around for a year with national consultants trying to think of every way we needed, like every component that needed to be put into our UPK program. And I think often we are a leader. I mean, if I look around the state, yes, there are other. Dayton, just passed a levy, and they have a program, and Cincy has a program. But ours has so much depth to it with all of these different components. I really do believe that we are unique. So, you shaking your head? I thought you would. Okay. So I think we do really have a lot to be proud of, and I'm really pushing now for us to get more into peer-reviewed journals, et cetera, to get the word out. I'm excited to get this process evaluation done, because so often it's like a black box. Like, you have good outcomes or bad outcomes, but you don't know why. And process evaluation is often an overlooked part of the evaluation process, but it's really important to know what's really going on at the site level, so you can improve it or you can replicate it, so we're hoping to get you. We'll be happy to tell you what those results are when we have them. So thank you very much for indulging me in that, and thank you for the swift, for allowing us to suspend rules. We could tell you that sad story about why it's late, but you probably don't want to hear it. Okay.
Nobody asked.
It's a broken record.
I'm sure you pushed to have it done, but.
Okay,
You
thank you.
you and Billy didn't get front cover though. Jeez, oh man.
No, the editors did.
I know.
I know.
The editors over the
We'll
authors.
if you,
Wow.
I have to tell you, this book, I did the Amazon description. It's a $140 book. So I'll be happy to autograph it if you want to purchase. We don't get any royalties, though. I'll give you that as a disclaimer. We'll both autograph it, right, Billy? Anyway, thanks. Nice to see you all.
Okay, thanks so much for your hard work. Okay. Exactly. Council should yeah, exactly. We should have one for the office, for the committee. Okay. Miscellaneous business, I don't have any, and I'm going to make a motion, we adjourn. Thank you. Not a motion, we are adjourning.